Hi everyone, good morning. This is Vidur, and in this video we will understand about Wired Assurance 2.0. I had made a video on Wired Assurance 1.0, which I would recommend you to watch before you jump into this video, and which will be helpful. And this will be in continuity to that video. So in this video, what we'll try to understand is we'll try to understand on how to create a switch template, on what all things to configure inside the template, and how the hierarchy goes. We also will understand about what cannot be configured on the switch template and what we need to do in that scenario. Also, to wrap it up at the end, we'll try to see some utilities on the switch tab, and a few cool things that we have done. And of course, I'll also share some pointers with you on my way. Just for all of you to keep in mind, and make sure the configuration is set up, done right. Okay, so this is going to be a slightly different video. I usually jump straight into the demo, but what I'm going to do is today I'm going to actually take you to one quick PPT with 3 slides. Not a lot of slides. I don't believe in slides, to be honest, but this is something which you need to see before we jump into the demo. Okay, so we all know that in April 2019, Juniper acquired Mist to get the wireless capabilities, but that is half true. Juniper really acquired Mist for the AI capabilities that that Mist had, and we wanted to make sure that we mystify every product of Juniper moving forward. So we started off with the wired assurance part, where we kind of mystified the Juniper EX switches, and wired assurance 2.0 was the next part of it, where we were able to not just basically add the switches onto the dashboard, but also fully configure, manage, and operate the network from the ground, from the single pane of glass, just like we do the wireless part. And that's what we kind of brought all the capabilities of the wireless onto the wired as well. So now we have a fully functional Mist dashboard, where we also not only monitor wireless or handle or operate wireless, but also the wired part, and also the WAN part is now coming very soon, just to be operated from a single pane of glass and make life easy for everybody else running the show on the ground. Right. So this slide talks about what we do basically with the Juniper EX, which is wired assurance, and we also have the Marvis, which is also integrated into the wired part. We don't need to explain what Marvis is; we all know. But anyway, I have a few videos on Marvis as well. If you want to explore more, feel free to go and watch that. We also do zero touch provisioning with the Juniper switches as well. Now, every Juniper switch comes with a QR code at the back end, where basically you bring up a phone, and you scan the QR code in the Mist app, and you're able to add that code, add that switch directly onto the Mist site, which makes life very easy. It's like in 2 seconds your switch can be onboarded into the Mist dashboard. So that's zero touch provisioning. The next is simplified configuration. So what we do around that is we actually bring in the concepts of templates. Everything and anything can be done on the templates. Of course, all the configuration of the Juniper switches can be done on the templates. Before even the devices are shipped onto the site, we can create a Mist site. We can create templates at the back end, and keep everything ready. And when the switches are added, boom, the templates are pushed to that, and the network can be up and running in no time, absolutely no time. So that's what we do with wired assurance 2.0. We're going to again anyway explore more as we go along in the video, and see how things are done in real time, in the Mist dashboard. So the 3 things that you need to keep in mind is configuring, deploying, and operating. So yes, configuring is basically how we do the configuration on day 0. When I say configuration, I mean creating the templates, right? And deploying, again, when the switches are on site, you just add the switches through zero touch provisioning onto the Mist dashboard in no time, and then the templates are pushed to that. That is called deploying. So we do that on day 1 when the site is about to go live. Day 2 comes when the operations start. When the site has been live and everything has been running up and running. What we do against that is alerting, monitoring, and troubleshooting, and how it gets easy for all of us to do that. That's also something wired assurance 2.0 will do for you, and makes it very, very easy for all of us, which you will see as we move along here. Yeah, so just one more slide, just to let you know what we do, how we basically make the configuration easy. We do bulk configuration based on template, as you can see on the screen, which can be done on a site level, on an org level, on a site level, and of course on a switch level as well. We can follow this hierarchy, or we can apply an entire template onto a particular switch, and or a particular site, and then make changes on the switch level as well. So we can do mix and match and make life easy for all of us who are running the show on the ground, of course. We can create port profiles, basically make sure a particular port is assigned to or an NAP port or an IoT port or a camera port. I'll show you how we do that in the dashboard. And then auto identify, a very, very cool feature that's called dynamic port allocation. Basically, what it means is, you do not know on which port you will connect a camera or on which port you will connect an access point. You can just configure that port to a dynamic port. And then as soon as you plug in the camera or plug in an AP, it will automatically fetch the AP profile and put it on that particular port. So it's kind of automating things for you to the next level. So that's how we do things here, and I will anyway show that to you in the template and as we go on. So yeah, so this is the PPT part. Now I think the good thing will happen. We will simply straight away go into the Mist dashboard, and this is my home org where I've created my home particular site with this home. And what we will do is before we get into the thing that I want to discuss in this video particularly, I will just quickly show you what I discussed in the last video that I'm going to paste the link in the description. So we went through the wired SLEs, what each SLE means, and what really each SLE and the subclassifiers, of course. We will discuss that in detail. We have discussed that in detail in the last video. We also went into the switch tab where we saw a lot of switches. Let me take you to the live demo site where you'll see a lot of switches here anyway. So we discussed this. We went into this particular tab in that video, and we discussed what each switch means. How do we add it? How do we adopt it? If it's a new switch, it's a greenfield deployment. If it's an old switch, it's a brownfield deployment. How we do that also is covered in the last video, and something which I would highly recommend you to watch, so that you're in flow, and then you actually come and land onto this video and basically understand it even further. So yeah, so here's how we kind of adopted a switch, or basically integrated and added a switch in the Mist dashboard. In the switches tab here, we basically go on claim a switch or adopt a switch. Claim switch is for a new switch, a greenfield deployment. Adopt switch is for the one that you're already working on in your setup. It's already running, and you just need to add it into the Mist dashboard. So yeah, anyway, would want you to go through that in the last video, just to make it easy for you. In this video, what we will do is we will learn how to create a switch template. I'm going to go back to my home org and basically tell you or show you how do we create a switch template. Okay. Now, for example, you place an order for 100 switches, and with the switches, of course, you get a claim code for you to add a switch or add all the switches into the Mist dashboard. Now, before you even do that, what you can do is you can come and create a Mist org. You can create a Mist site. Again, it's very, very simple. And then create a template and keep it ready. When you actually onboard a switch, you can already assign that template to a particular site. You can assign the switch to a particular site, and then the template gets called onto the switch. So we'll see how that happens. We go in organization, and we click on switch templates. Okay. I'm going to click on switch template. Let me quickly move my video somewhere here so that it makes sense. I'm going to click on create template, and let me give the name as wired assurance demo _ test and create it. Now, once I created that, it took me inside the switch template. Okay. Now let me just minimize that. 3 things we need to focus on. One is switch configuration, shared elements, and select switches configuration. Okay, so let's go through that one by one. Anyway, by the way, this is not assigned to any site at the moment. I'll show you how to do that as well. But for now, I'll click on all switch template configuration, and the basic configuration, like authentication server, accounting server. Let's click on a radio server, and let me add a server for you. And let's see, the shared secret is test 1 2 3. So I'll just verify. Okay, it's cool. Test 1 2 3, and I will click on done. Okay, so one radio server is added. I'm gonna also go ahead and add an accounting server. Of course, my accounting server is the same as the radio server. Port is 1813, the accounting port, and let's say this is done. Okay, cool. So I will click on save there. And the next thing, let's say I want to add an NTP server, 100.100.100. Okay, anyway, I'll put 100 here as well, so that it is. If you want to add multiple ones, you can do it by separating, separating them by comma. Okay, so we'll do that. DNS, let's say 4.4.4.4, and I'll anyway talk about what these things are and in a while. But let me then go back, and anyway, I'll click on save for now, just to save the configuration. I'll go back to the demo test template, and I will go in shared elements now. Okay, pay attention, guys, this is important. So all the VLANs that we have to define on the switches will come under the networks tab. Okay, all the port profiles, whether it's an AP port, an IoT port, a camera port, we can define it right here. And if we want the ports to be dynamically configured, we can put them in dynamic port configuration. I'll show you how we do that as well. So for example, let's start with adding a network here. I'll add a network. I'll say, okay, my network is VLAN 100. VLAN ID is 100. And I don't want to make it a layer 3, so I'll click on the let it be layer 2. I'm cool. Click on save. I will add one more network. Let's say VLAN 200 is the name, and ID is 200. And I'll click on the arrow to save it again. I'll add one more network to be safe, 300, ID 300, and I'll save again. Now we have defined 3 VLANs in this particular switch. Okay, in this particular template, to be honest, sorry. So I have a few basic profiles already created. That's an AP profile, or a default profile, or a disabled profile, or an IoT profile. So let's see what it really is. I'll click on the AP profile. It just simply says, the name is AP, and enabled mode is trunk. The default VLAN is VLAN number 1, which is the native VLAN. And trunk network is, allow all networks, all the VLANs you need to allow on that. Speed is auto, and yeah, life is good. Okay, so I'll keep it as it is. But what I'll do is I'll create one more port profile for my convenience. I'll click on add profile so that we all know what it is. And then I'm going to add AP port. I'll create my own AP profile. Okay, and I will make it a trunk port, of course, because I have to add multiple VLANs. We have multiple SSIDs. By native VLAN, yes, I'll allow only few VLANs. I will not allow all the VLANs. I will only allow few VLANs. Okay, yeah. So that is good. Speed is auto is fine. Duplex is auto. I'll enable QoS, and I will save. Similarly, if I want to go back and create a camera profile, okay, I'll make it an access port. I want the camera VLAN to be on a single VLAN. I don't want it to be a trunk port anyway. So VLAN number 300 is something which I'll put that on. Okay, that is okay. QoS, I want QoS to be on this, which is cool. Everything else is great. I'll click on save. Now, what I did was I created 2 profiles for my benefit. One is the AP port profile, and the other is the camera profile. I'll show you how we use that as well. Okay. Now the cool thing, dynamic port profile. I'll click on add a rule. Now, what it tells me is if a device is added to a port, whether it's an access point or a camera or an IoT device, anything, okay, based on these rules or these checks, LLDP system name, LLDP chassis ID, LLDP radius username, radius filter ID, or MAC address. We can choose any. Now I'll show you how it works. Let's say if the text starts with missed AP, if the LLDP system name starts with missed AP, I'm going to add the AP port profile that I created. Okay, and this is my rule. Now let's add another rule. If the LLDP system, or we can also use a MAC address, anything is fine. Whatever you want to start the MAC address with, you can use that as well. But let me use LLDP system name. If my LLDP system name starts with zebra camera, just a random name, I will assign it to the camera profile, and I will click on the arrow, which means now my port configuration is also configured. Okay, that is how you configure the networks, the port profiles, and the dynamic port configuration settings. I can go now here. Let me save once again, so that I don't lose out on anything. I'll go back to the template. I will click on select switches configuration. Now this is important because this will tell us where are we actually adding these profiles. So I'll create a rule here. Okay, rule name is, let's say, access 24, and I want to allow this to, I can actually give a switch role of, apply this to an access port, access switch, or I can also allow it to apply on a specific model. Let's say I want all my switches, which are 2300 model, to be, to basically get this particular profile. So I'll do this for now. I will click on the checkbox. I'll go back here. I want to add one more thing though. I forgot to add that here. The port configuration, apply port profiles to port ranges on matching switches, which means now I can add a port range. It tells me, okay, give the port IDs. I will give the port IDs, for example, 0/0/1 to 6. I want these to be, let me zoom in so that it makes sense. I want these to be dynamic ports, enable dynamic configuration. Okay, I want to do that. or by default I can choose a disabled port profile, and then I want it to be a dynamic port. So I'll click on this. Let's say I want to add one more port range. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to see, okay, 0/0/7 to 23. I want these to be dynamic ports, of course, and I want the by default profile to be, a default profile or anything, AP port profile. Okay, so I can click on now these two port config settings are done on my particular template. I will click on save now. I'll first of all, once you do this, do not forget to click on this particular checkbox. Okay, because otherwise it will not be saved. So I'll click on this checkbox. Now it is saved. I'll click on save here. Now my entire template is created. Okay, let's see how it looks like. This is the authentication servers, accounting servers, NTP DNS. I'll come to this. Now let me see if my profiles are being viewed. Yes, 100, 200, 300 VLANs, AP port, camera is all there, and the dynamic port allocation also is configured. Let me see if this rule still is there. Absolutely right there. I can do that. Or I can also, let me change that for, I'll basically give this a role of access role. Okay, or any switch which is with access role will be put this configuration. Okay, so I'll click on this. This is saved. Anyway, we can make the change anytime we want. That's also cool. I want to show you one more thing now. So most of the configuration that we have done, or which can be done from the MIST templates, or I would say we can cover up to 80 to 85%. For some customers, this will be this will be 100% because that's all they want. But for a few customers that want some other configuration, like let's say for example as an SNMP configuration, we don't give a way to add SNMP here on the MIST template. So what we can do is we can actually use this particular CLI command section. Now again, very cool, because you do not have to go into the CLI of the switch. You can enter the commands here in the CLI section, and these can be taken by the switch, whichever gets this particular template. Now it's possible that you're not very good on Junos, you don't know the command, basically it's possible. So whenever you apply or enter a command and you hit commit or you hit save, the template will be pushed onto the switch. Now if this particular command is wrong, it will show you in the logs. It will tell you, this particular commit confirm failed, and then you need to go and add the command once again. So it's going to give you all the visibility again, that whatever went wrong. So that's how you use this particular CLI command section. Any command that you feel you're not able to enter on the templates, come here, enter that here, and click on save, and you're good. Okay. I will also show you on how to assign this template to a particular site. It's a very simple thing. Click on assign to sites. Once I do that, I see, okay, I have these two sites. I want to assign Anyway, these two have no switches. So right now I don't have a switch in my home lab, which is why I cannot basically show you as to how it is added onto the switch, but I'll take you to live demo to show you that. I can assign it to anything I want, and I'll click on apply. And now it says applied to one site. Okay, that's how we create a template. That's how we basically call it on the site as well. Now I'm going to take you to the live demo org, okay, where we will see a few more things on once we created a template. Of course, there are multiple templates here as well. Let's see how many of them are. Let's see, we have a lot of templates created here. So I'll go to the switches. I'll show you how it looks like. Okay. So once we completely onboard a Juniper switch onto the Mist dashboard, this is how it will look like. This is how it will look like. Okay. I discussed about the switch insights in the last video. I would like you to go through that. Very, very important. But I want to discuss about this. So whatever template we created, it's going to show up here like this. Now, remember, I actually gave a role when I added a role there. I said this particular template should be applied to an access role. I can come here. I can type access, and I'm not going to type it here right now. I'm not going to hit save. But the moment I do that, the port configuration will be reflected here. So I can add that role here, and that entire template will be pushed right here. Okay, that's how you add it to the particular switch. Anyway, so the thing that I want you to focus is here that once we created a template, this is how it looks like. Configuration is managed by the Mist dashboard. I can disable it from here, but I want you to understand this very, very clearly. The moment we enable management of configuration from the Mist dashboard, it becomes your single source of truth. We do not want to go into the CLI and make a change now. It's not going to reflect. Any change that you make onto the Mist dashboard will be reflected immediately. Any change that you make onto the Juno CLI, it will not be taken by the Mist cloud. So we do not pull the configuration from the switch. We always push the configuration on the switch. So once we make a change here, we will push the configuration, and that's how the switch takes it. Once you configure something on the CLI, anything you configure on the CLI, and then you come back to the Mist dashboard, make a change here, and you click on save, that change that you made on the CLI will be forgotten. This particular change will take precedence and it will be overridden. So once you start to manage the configuration onto the Mist from the Mist dashboard, do not go in the CLI. We don't want to do that. We will stay away from CLI. You want to manage and handle everything from the GUI. Anything you want to add, you have the additional CLI column here, which you can do that as well. But you need not go into the Mist onto the switch CLI anyway. However, some people love CLI. I mean, I do too. So what we can do is we have another way of going there without going to the opening the switch CLI the traditional way. We will click on something called utilities. I've got testing tools here. I will click on that, and it takes me to a few options which we'll talk about, which gives me an option to ping. I can do a trace route. I can do a cable test. I can bounce support if I want. And also, this is the CLI of the switch. It's going to directly give me access to the shell of the switch without having me to go on the CLI and opening it. So here, it takes me to the switch directly. Now, just read this. When a device is managed by the Mist, the configuration, let me zoom in. The configuration changes made locally via the shell will be overwritten, okay, with the configuration from the cloud, which means please use the UI to make any configuration changes. We need not go into the Juniper switch CLI anymore. Anything you want to run here, show command, you can always run it from here. Show WLAN, I'm sorry, keyword is acting funny. Show WLAN brief, hit enter, I'll get the output. So anyway, what I was saying was, feel free to run any show commands here, but do not go into the CLI of the switch the other way. Cool. So this is interesting. I also wanted to tell you about, we have some time, so I'll just quickly go on switch insights. I'll show you what I meant here. I'll go to last 7 days. Any change that you make on the CLI, Okay, any change that you make, sorry, on the switch GUI will be reflected here. And if let's say you make you add a CLI command onto the on the template, and that format is wrong, it will reflect here. It will tell you it's a commit failure. It doesn't, it is not a commit confirmed, so it's going to show you right here. Okay. Now, one more cool thing that we've done. I will go right there. Let's see if I get the option. Okay, I'll go back to switches. This is where we were. Okay. So I'll click on utilities, and I get the option to reboot a switch, or I want to send some logs to the MIST support team for troubleshooting. I can do that as well. We don't have to go in the CLI, fetch the logs. It's available right here. Reboot switch. We can reboot a switch directly from here, or upgrade a firmware. Now, I have not really worked on the CLI of Juniper, but I've heard upgrading a Juniper switch is a cumbersome task. It's not something very easy and straightforward. But with the MIST dashboard now, new innovation, we are able to upgrade the switch firmware right from here on the MIST. I'll click on this. It'll ask me to select a version, and boom, I can just start the upgrade, and we'll be good to go. Now it becomes very easy. One more thing that I was actually asked while I was giving a demo to one of the customers here in India is, for example, I make a change here, and let's say we create few profiles, like let's say an uplink profile, and for some odd reason I by mistake come and change the uplink port, which means now the moment I save it, my switch loses contact from the cloud. If my uplink switch configuration is changed, which means my switch cannot reach out to the cloud. My switch lost connection to the cloud, right? That's a very problematic situation. Of course, can happen to anyone. So what we do is, the moment the switch loses the connection to the cloud, in 10 minutes, we're going to reverse that change. Okay. We will take you back to the old configuration. We will reverse the change that actually caused you to break connection to the cloud. That's another thing that is already inbuilt, which makes sure the connectivity is always restored. Connectivity is not broken down, and basically helps us to maintain connectivity to the cloud at all times. So that's how we create templates. That's how we manage things on the ground. Of course, if you want to troubleshoot a switch, you know where to go. You can go to Switch Insights and troubleshoot from there. Check the SLEs and understand more about what it all means. I've covered that in the other video. I'm going to paste the link in the description so that you can spend some time on that as well and understand what it means. This video was all about all about how to configure a switch template, how to call it on the site, and of course, if you want to make a change on the switch itself, you basically call a template onto the entire site, which means you call a template on 100 switches. Now, if you want to have some specific configuration which is switch wise, you can click on this override switch, override site or template settings, and you can add your own radius over here that you want, which will be applied to only this particular switch. So you have the luxury to do that as well. You have the flexibility to do that as well. It can be org level, site level, and also switch level. So you can do any change you want. You can have 90 switches in a site, running on one configuration, or you can have 10 switches running on different configurations. You can do that as well with this particular checkbox, and of course other things as well. Here as well, you can do that. So anyway, you have the flexibility, you have the capability of doing that. Anything else we missed out? No, I think we're good in this. So anyway, I'll click on cancel. I don't want to make any changes onto the live demo site, here. So yeah, I think this is it. I would request you all to play around with this, spend some time and create a template on your own. Try to onboard a switch and see how you push the template, how things happen, how things work. And anyway, in case you have any more questions or any questions around wired assurance 1.0, 2.0, you have any questions around how to onboard a switch, what things to configure, what not to configure for your network, just drop in a comment, reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to address it. If you are a customer, you're trying to explore this, reach out to me, reach out to any Juniper rep, and we'll be more than happy to take care of that on your behalf. And it becomes extremely simple to manage everything from a single pane of glass. The wireless, wired, and of course, in the future, we're also bringing in WAN. It's almost out, and I don't want to discuss that in this video, but I will cover that in the other video, where we also manage the SRXs and the routers from 128 technology onto the from this dashboard itself. So life becomes very easy with MIST. That's what we are trying to do for everybody else out there. We want to make sure the users on the ground are having a good time, and not just the users, but also people who are running the network, who are running the show, people who spend time managing, operating, deploying networks. We want to make sure it becomes very easy for you to run the show with Mist. Guys, thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for watching again. And in case you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll be there to address them. Thank you so much. You have a great day, guys. Thank you.